Hi, I'm Connie with OECS, and I have Julie here with OECS. Julie, there's a lot of talk lately about ergonomics, workplace ergonomics. Tell me more about that. I'm really confused.
Yes. Minnesota OSHA just recently incorporated or promulgated a standard, and so we're getting a lot of calls on ergonomics. So just in layman terms, it's basically how do we fit the physical capabilities of an employee to a job? Because we all are genetically in composition, our body composition is different, so how do we fit that physical capability to the job and the task at hand so that we don't hurt employees?
Gotcha. So what you're saying is, I've seen some employees way taller than me, way shorter than me, and what we're trying to do with ergonomics is make the job site a place where if I'm taller or shorter or whatever in between, the job that I'm doing fits me.
Absolutely, so that you don't get hurt. That's the intent. How do we do that with all different types of body composition, size, age, physical capability, and that kind of thing? How do we make it safe for the individual to do the job task without putting them at risk for what we call musculoskeletal disorders or injuries in general?
Gotcha. So what are musculoskeletal disorders?
It could be damage to the tendons, the nerves, the muscles, and that kind of thing. But if, for layman terms and or just non-scientific, because that's what we want to make it, because it can be complicated, would be carpal tunnel syndrome, tendonitis, strains, rotator cuff, shoulder injuries, anything that's repetitive that might put you at risk for doing muscle, tendon, ligament damage.
So how would we prevent those types of injuries? Because I know I worked in manufacturing for a long time, and people would have like carpal tunnel syndrome, and it was really expensive. So I didn't know that fell under ergonomics. What does ergonomics? How can I make? So if I make the job say fit them, how would I know that?
That's where we come in. Okay. Working for OECS, that's what we do. We can do as much or as little as you need for compliance related and or injury reduction. Most importantly, how do we reduce employee injuries? First, we would do an ergonomic assessment. Okay, so we would look at jobs and see if there are any risk factors. Once we identify what are those risk factors, what are the potential solutions? And I seek those all over. Do we need to do job rotation? Do we need to make sure that we automate a process? That if we can automate something and make it easier for somebody to do and eliminate that, doesn't mean it's going to be job elimination. It means it's going to eliminate the stress that you have on your body and make the job easier and more fun to do, actually.
Sure. So I know when I've talked to others about this and like thinking of some of them, job rotation's pretty easy. But when you start changing and modifying workplaces for everyone, doesn't that get expensive?
It does, but there's some similar solutions. The adjustability. It might be just an adjustable table or a gravity-fed table that actually, as you eliminate or take off product, it reduces so that it can be waist height. But there's also, like I said, there's dual workstations that can be done that are automatic or powered and that kind of thing. Or maybe the taller person, we just give them a work platform. It can be simple. Right? We just raise it up to a waist height for the tall person, but the normal height of the table works for somebody of my stature at 5'4".
Sure. And I was thinking about it. I think the last injury that we had from a musculoskeletal was really expensive. So some of those things that you're talking about wouldn't cost us anywhere near that one injury we had.
No, at bare minimum, if you have carpal tunnel or you're looking at physical therapy or early intervention or things that aren't so invasive, that starts it out, but just the time away from work and going to a physical appointment and then if you get into the surgical, you're looking at $20,000 to $100,000 it could be for bilateral or both hands being done from a carpal tunnel surgery perspective.
And I also remember from an employee perspective, they didn't like being off work all that long. So it's really expensive and not good for the morale or even the environment. So.
Well, no. I mean, if you're off due to a work injury, somebody else has got to make up your work.
Yeah.
Right? And plus, it's isolating to be off work. And if you're in pain, that's never good. It's never good. So whatever you could do to prevent the pain from starting in the first place or catch it early, do early intervention to prevent it from getting to the point where we might have, medical intervention or surgical procedure is all the better.
Sure. Well, that was really helpful. Is there anything else I should know about ergonomics?
I think just in general that, it's best to do an assessment of your workplace to identify if you have exposures prior to somebody coming and having an issue, or reporting an issue. So it's always good to have us. We can do as much or as little service you want, but it's always good to have somebody with knowledge or education on what those exposures might be to come in and assess your workplace.
Okay. And hey, I just heard about this randomly, but I heard something about we have an AI assessment tool. Is that true?
It is true. We just actually, the beginning or middle part of last year, 2023, we invested in an Ergonomics AI tool that will do a 3D stratification from a video that we can shoot of an employee doing their work task that does a 3D overlay of their work task as they're doing it. It could be one or up to 3 individuals or a process that we do step by step. But basically that will give us a stratification of risk exposures for that employee during the task that they're doing. So actually it will identify, and then we can prioritize where we need to focus our attentions on solutions and eliminating those exposures to make the workplace safer.
So just bringing it all back. So we can do this assessment really and watch somebody do the job to make sure it fits them right. Is that right?
That's correct.
Wow, this sounds really simple.
It's awesome. It's great. It gives you, like I say, the risk factor, and then we can actually incorporate solutions, and they could be $0 up to some investment, but there are grants available in some states, Minnesota and North Dakota, for example, that will assist to help fund safety improvement projects from an ergonomic standpoint. But it's really nice if we incorporate something or re-implement something, like I was mentioning, giving somebody a work platform, we can take another video of that to see if that solution has eliminated that hazard exposure. So it's just a nice visual to show you how that tool works to reduce your workplace hazards.
Wow, this really seems like a win-win for employees to not be off work from getting hurt, and a win for the employer to make sure that they can meet their productivity and save them some money in the long run by investing in this stuff rather than paying for injuries.
Absolutely. And like I said, it's a low-cost investment to at least analyze your work site, to get in there to know if you have those exposures. It's also good to let employees know that you care about their health and well-being and what we're there to do, that they feel people are invested and they do care about how my work tasks may affect both my work life and my personal life. Because if you have repetitive motion injuries, it doesn't only affect your work life, it affects your personal life as well.
Right. Anything else I should know?
No, I just think if you have any questions, any concerns, give us a ring, at OECS here in St. Louis Park, Minnesota, and we can walk through that process and see if we can meet and see if you have any needs that we can take care of for you.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for explaining that to me.
Sure. Thank you, Connie.
All right.